Hey everybody, it's Ellen back from the Tiny Human Handbook, and today we're diving into the interesting world of 4 and 5-month-old babies. Their development, some common challenges that parents with somebody at this age might face, and gift ideas. What toys do they like, or what things can you give to somebody with a little one this age, or what are some fun ways to entertain them? So my name's Ellen, and I'm here on the Tiny Human Handbook to be the resource for you that I wish I had when I was a new mom. My son is 12 months old, but I remember when he was 4 months old in a haze and a fog. We had a really hard time with sleep at that age. Looking back on it, I remember this is the time where I was taking tons of videos and pictures. He was just getting chunky and really adorable, so it was a super fun time. I felt like his personality was really shining through. Looking back on some of the challenges we faced in the moments is definitely a prominent point in my memory as well. So let's start off with developmental milestones. The big one for this age range is the rolling. For rolling from their bellies to their backs, or to their backs to their bellies, or back and forth over and over again. Right at this age, I remember we were about to leave for a family vacation. My son turned 4 months old in August. We were about to leave for the beach trip. We were packing and packing all day long. He was looking at the play gym overhead, and then I came out and all of a sudden he was facing the other way up. So I think I had left him on tummy time, packing things up in the car. And then next time I looked at him, he was over on the side looking up like this. I was like, that's not how I left you. That's not where I left you at all. So I was just savoring those last few moments of immobility, because I knew once he started rolling and crawling and moving that I was going to have my hands full, and I was right. At this age, it's really common for babies to start rolling over and flipping over. And one fun activity to help them with this, if you want to work on the skill, is to use a colorful scarf. And this is going to be a toy that's useful for weeks and weeks to come. A colorful scarf is great for peekaboo in and taking things out. And it's also great for when they want to learn how to juggle, because a slow moving scarf is easier to catch than a ball. So get a colorful scarf, or it could just be a scrap of fabric, whatever you have, and use it to tempt them as they're looking and looking and looking up into that direction while you're on a soft play mat. What you're going to do is hold it so that they're looking and looking, turning their head, and you're moving it as they do this. If it's catching their attention and the weight of their head is just going to be enough to roll them over. So it might surprise you the first time that they flip onto their tummy or flip onto their back, but soon it'll be common practice. And some kids, they get the hang of rolling and it's their new favorite thing to do. Other kids, they learn it. They've got it in their tool belt, but they're not using it all the time. Whether they're rolling all the time or just know how to do it, it's a fun skill to play games with. And it's a really great early introduction to parents to having a mobile baby. And this is when you want to start to think about baby proofing as well. So another great gift for this age is some baby proofing materials, or help and gift of time to baby proof with the parents, because it is 1,000 times harder to baby proof while a baby is trying to get into a cabinet than if they're happily entertained elsewhere. You want to look at the cabinets you have and what kind of locks work with those cabinets. If you have cabinets butted up against the wall or a refrigerator, those are going to need a different type of lock than ones that are side by side to another cabinet or have open space on the side. So make sure you get ones that work for your cabinets. You may need to get a variety of different kinds. My tip to you is to do it now instead of doing it while your baby is older and getting into things as you're doing it. Another fun piece of development here is head control. Little ones have worked on their neck muscles, their core and trunk muscles, and they are able to hold that head up nice and strong. This is a great time to introduce the game of peekaboo if you haven't already. You can use that scarf from the activity earlier, or you can use a baby blanket. Whatever you have on hand is fine, even just your hands. But if you're using the scarf, a fun way to do it is to help their hands hold onto the scarf, move it up, and then peekaboo and pull it down. You don't want to make this too hard for them. Keep it nice and easy and simple. Help them out while you're there and make it a fun game of cause and effect. Another tip for this is when you're saying peekaboo, Keep it consistent every time. So while they're hiding, I go Pika, and then when you show them your face, boo at the end. That helps to create a beginning of the game and an end of the game. And that's a skill that's going to come into play later on, maybe when they're 15, 18 months old and you're starting to work on puzzles or different activities that have a start, a middle, and an end. So it's a great time to introduce that now. And your little one's probably doing a lot of tummy time around the 4-month mark. So once we get to 5 months, you may be seeing some more assisted sitting, or maybe even sitting unassisted. For this, I recommend skipping the plastic containers that are gonna hold your baby in a sitting position. Just use your lap for helping your little one sit up. This is gonna give them more freedom of movement. It's gonna help them build those core muscles even more, and it's gonna keep them right there with you, who helps them feel nice and secure. Another fun game is pat a cake, baker's man. Just because they're having that head control, a fun game while they're either sitting in your lap facing you or a partner's holding onto them, and you can play a little hand clapping game. Of course, it's early in development to see any clapping, but starting to work on the intonation of the song. Kids at this age are starting to recognize tunes that are repetitive and the same every time. Whatever song you really like, pick one out. I recommend picking out a special favorite song to sing to them that either is one that you've noticed that they like, or is one that's nice and easy for you. So my son, I noticed that he loved Old MacDonald Had a Farm. When you're in the car and he's upset, you're driving home trying to make it before nap time or before he gets too hungry, and you're singing Old MacDonald over and over and over again, it gets hard. It has some thinking involved. Old MacDonald Had a Farm. You think it's an easy song, but it has a piece where you have to think of farm animals, and then you have to know what sound they make. So you get into a situation where you've got maybe a dog and a cat, and okay, woof and meow, very good. But then what's the donkey say? And what about the fox? And do they even have an elephant on the farm? You start to question these things, and it gets wild when you just don't know where you're going, especially when you're singing it with your partner and you just don't know where each other's gonna go. You know, I say he's got a dog, and then my husband's saying meow, and you get into a mess, especially because at this age, you're probably not sleeping as much as you were before. And that's a common challenge with kids who are 4 months old. So somewhere around 19 weeks, it could start a little earlier, could be a little bit later, you're going to notice that their sleep changes. And that's because with a change in development, you're going to see a change in sleep. You may also see it in their eating patterns. You may see it just in their temperament and fussiness and how much they cling to you and how they feel around strangers or people they don't see that often. You'll see it in a variety of ways, and that's going to be unique to your little one. And the cause of this is the brain development. So their world is changing. You see, they knew a world with smooth transitions, as we learned in our 3-month video, and that became familiar. And now it's growing and expanding even more. So my tip for sleep regressions or any sleep issues is to just stick consistent with your routine. So little ones at this age, they are experiencing disruptions in sleep because their brain is growing and expanding and they're learning new things, and that's keeping them up at night, or they're waking up at night thinking about getting into whatever it is that they have just learned. Keep your routine consistent. Know that this is a phase and it will pass. So you don't need to change or rethink your sleep strategy or rethink your routine. Just keep consistent with it. Go with your gut instinct. You set up that routine for a reason, because it's a routine and familiar, and it's relaxing for your little one, relaxing for you. And even if it feels like it is not working right now, stick with it. Give it time before you go trying other things. At this age for Cullen and I, this is when we had a huge realization for sleep. So prior to 4 months old, prior to his rolling, we were trying to make a bassinet work that just wasn't comfortable for him. We were trying different ones. We had swaddles, pacifiers, sound machines. If it was recommended to help sleep, we got it. And that was one of my biggest new mom mistakes, in my opinion. Once we were rolling, I thought, let's ditch the swaddle. Upon doing so, we started breast sleeping. So that's when the infant is right at the breast, able to feed and comfort in the middle of the night without the mother waking up too much. Now, of course, you're going to want to read up on this. If this is something that you were interested in trying, you can read this book called Safe Infant Sleep. That's what I did right at this age. It really spoke to me. It had a really good research, a lot of good points, and I actually just reread one of the chapters because we're going through another sleep regression and I started to question things. So I came back to that book. So I recommend that book. There's a lot of information out there on sleep, especially in the United States, in our culture. It feels like sleep is something that we need to solve for our babies. And one question is sleep something you need to solve, or is it just a part of their natural development? Being able to switch to breast sleeping enabled us to really see a lot of differences in Cullen's feeding and breastfeeding success. Prior to it, we were having to supplement with formula and it just didn't really feel right for me. We were doing a lot of pumping, which I was not a big fan of. I didn't like it one bit. So he was able to eat throughout the night. He was getting the calories that he needed, and we saw a great improvement in his weight and his chubby little cheeks. Another common concern is some separation anxiety or stranger danger, and this is a good thing, and it's rooted in history. When your little ones are developing at this age, 4 months old, they're starting to take into account familiar faces. They recognize their parents and people that they're seeing all the time. And then they're also a little bit uneasy if they're going to somebody new. They may even react this way to relatives, your grandparents. One thing I recommend is printing out photos of your little one with that grandparent, or just photos of the extended family, making sure you can see a smiling face in the photo. Even requesting one to print out is a good idea for this age range. Put them around the tummy time mat or wherever your little one is spending some time looking. So we printed out photos of my grandfather and my parents and put them right at eye level so he could see and start to recognize their faces. Another helpful idea for this is a baby carrier. This was my era for the ring sling. I loved having a ring sling at this age. You can get them into a hip carry since they've got more of a head and neck control. It's not a hands-free carry, so you're going to want to keep a hand on the little one to make sure they're nice and secure, but it wraps them nice and tight and close to you. They can hear your heart, hear your breath. They can take a snooze in it if they need to, and it's a great way when you're out visiting with unfamiliar people to your little one to keep them nice and close to you, feeling secure. And it's even good for around the house. One awesome thing about it is it's lightweight and it folds up nice and small, and that way you can keep one in the car or in the diaper bag. It's great to have on hand. Oh, this was also our era of bibs. So that's another gift idea or suggestion for this is when we started to get a ton of drool. So prior to this, you might have a bib for spit up, but now we're going to need one for drool. And you may think your little one is teething. They may be. It's possible to see early signs of teething at this age, or maybe they're processing and starting to have some digestive changes as they're starting to slowly prepare themselves to eat solids a few weeks down the road. We saw a ton of drool and slobber, and we love the bandana shaped bibs. I think it's worth picking out ones that you love because the bibs cover up the onesies, and whatever cute saying or design is on your onesie, it's now covered up by the bib. So you want to think about that. Think about the aesthetic for your little one's wardrobe and pick one that you really love. Natural organic materials, if that's something that's important to you. Nice and soft. For bibs, since we were using them so often, I needed snaps. Velcro, whenever it was going through the laundry, was sticking to everything and ruining things. Always my suggestion to go with snaps for bibs. So this is the stage of grabbing. So another recommendation for this age is an OBall or a Ballis or something like this. You're gonna wanna look for something that has little holes that they can get their little hands around, and something that rattles and intrigues them. We loved these ones. We also loved the Winkle Ball. And at this age, the age of grabbing, and I mentioned that course correction. So prior to this, they would reach towards an object. Maybe they'd be successful, maybe they wouldn't, and you'd be there to help them find it. And now that we've hit the next stage of development, their brain is growing, they're learning new things. One of the things they've learned is how to correct their reach. So if you think they've understood the assignment, they can reach and grab a ball, you've got it in front of them, you're gonna wanna dial back the help. So at this stage, you can expect that they could reach, be a little bit to the side, and course correct and be able to grab it. So they're saying, okay, was it successful? Maybe a little bit more this way or that way. So you're gonna wanna leave them to experiment and learn things on their own a little bit more at this age and not offer as much help with grabbing objects. Additionally, with grabbing objects, a common concern for parents and a common problem is that little ones are grabbing things they should not be grabbing. At this age, they can also start to notice change in tone, which I mentioned for the songs. You know, they're recognizing familiar tones. The same thing goes for a scolding voice or a voice of praise. So it doesn't matter what you're saying. You could say no or yes or rainbows and puppies. It doesn't matter. But if you're using a scolding tone, they can recognize the difference. They can also recognize pauses in music. So if you're listening to a song and all of a sudden, stop, no more music, your little one can pick up on that. You know, they recognize familiar tunes or songs they've heard before, and when something stops and isn't right, they do take notice of that now. But yes, a common concern for parents is when little ones are grabbing things that they shouldn't. One, you're going to want to take into account the baby proofing. And that brings me to another awesome gift idea for babies, but really for their parents at this age. Switch over your coffee mugs to travel mugs, things that do not spill. For me, I'm an iced coffee person. I have iced coffee all the time, so I'm not too worried about hot drinks spilling on the baby. I've known people who have had burns on their little one's arms because they reached up and grabbed a coffee mug that they shouldn't have grabbed, or whatever hot drink it was. So you're gonna wanna be extra careful with the mugs, and I think using a travel mug that doesn't spill, that you're vigilant to keep closed up, is a great idea. And it's gonna be great for on the go as well, because bringing a water along to keep you hydrated or bringing your coffee along to keep you energized, yes, those are good things. Another toy suggestion for you guys is the crinkle books and board books. Kids at this age are really getting into sounds and different noises. Some kids are, some kids aren't. It really just depends on your little one and what kind of things you notice they're into. They may be more interested in shakers and rattles or tambourines. These are good options to try out and see what draws your little one's attention. Another suggestion for you guys is shakers. We had some of these. Really just any rattle is going to be great because they're working and helping them work on grabbing. Of course, the O-Ball takes care of this function as well. And you also may think about upgrading your play gym if you don't have one that is structurally sound. With the rolling, this was the time where Cullen started knocking down his play gyms that weren't really engineered well. We had one with just one arch that velcroed on the bottom, and as soon as I put him on at 4 months old, boom, he kicked it over, and we really only used that one once. It was given to us secondhand, so we passed it along to a younger baby. This is also a great time to get some teething rings or teethers if they are teething at this age, or it doesn't hurt to get them early in advance so that you have them when you need them when you do start teething. Find out which ones your little one is really drawn to and which ones feel good. They may be into different ones at different times too. You know, different teeth are gonna feel different as they come in. Well, we talked all about 4-month and 5-month development, common challenges for this age, and some gift and toy recommendations for them as well. Remember, every baby is different. They've started to develop their personality, so you're going to want to focus in on your little one. Pay attention to what they choose to grab. What are they watching around the house? Go with that. Let them take the lead on their personality and what things interest them. I know a common challenge for some parents is that they want to encourage them towards a certain type of toy or thing that they think they might like. We went through this best to just let your little one guide the way with this. This is their interest. They're gonna learn the skill. That skill and stage of development applies to other things. So if you got a bunch of crinkly books, but your little one just plays with the tambourine, they're gonna be able to pair that cause and effect, sensory stimulation from the tambourine experience to a crinkle book. So don't think that they're gonna miss out. If you found this video helpful, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more content like this, and share it with another new mom. Leave a comment down below if any of these tips worked well for you. Thanks for watching the Tiny Human Handbook. We will see you next time, and goodbye.